my sister Nancy Omar from Mogadishu, who is there right now, to come on the show. But because we did a late night show up to about 3 a.m., which was very controversial with M23 people fighting on it with Congolese and Rwandese systems, plus Uganda systems, I ended up being the arbitrator in the middle. But let me say, the situation in Somalia and Mogadishu in Sector 1 is becoming unbearable. And anybody listening to us across the continent of Africa, it looks like the rebels have shifted their tactics, or the terrorists have shifted their tactics from the rural area because of the pressure that is coming on from the Somali authorities. The Somali authorities have decided environment for a fight in the rural areas. So terrorists, Miriam, now as we speak, in most of the central Somalia, have no space to stay. If they know you are one, they will smoke you out. So what has happened is, what does Al-Shabaab do? It has shifted its operations from the rural areas now to the center to attract the international headlines like the ones that we are giving them right now. You see, to talk about them for having killed people in a hotel. That is a tactic of guerrilla warfare which they are using, because in the rural areas, in the southern Jubaland, everybody says we want peace. We are not interested. And the Somaliland up there, says, don't come here. So it was only the central bit where the Farimajos, President Farimajo comes from, where there has been quite a lot of confusion and disturbances and the killings and the torture and the cutting people's hands, limbs, poking out people's eyes. That is where things were bad. But I picked this story for your show. It is a very exciting point that you brought out. They attacked a hotel 1 kilometer away from Villa, Somalia. The president had to be evacuated because I am just beginning to get worried, Miriam, as to whether one of these days, these people will enter that. God forbid. Because it looks like to come too close in Sector 1. Artemis. You see, we keep on changing names, remove T, M, and we are still there.
Yeah, no, but they have a different mandate from AMISOM. That's why. So it's for
they have the mandate is to shoot and kill.
African Mission Transition Mission in
to transition, you might, they might not be, Miriam, they might not be able to transition, because if these terrorists are coming close to the hotel, 1 kilometer away from the main head state house, who is sure, how can you be sure that they will not come? And God forbid. So this must come to an end. Transition word must turn into, let's call it African Force for Elimination. I think we should get the right words, not to get words like a MONUSCO. This is what? They have been standing army in Congo for 15 years. And let's be very honest, this is the time when we in Africa and African topics of this nature, we must have a voice. Standing army 20 years, MONUSCO, still in Congo. still in Miriam, can I tell you, in Ngoma, but the rebels are not in Ngoma only. They are everywhere. So why don't these troops of UN go inside to protect the natives? Or are the natives also part of the game? This is a question for another day. For me, on Somalia, that's what. Later on at the top of the hour, she's only listening in. So back to you, Miriam, my take on Somalia. And I hope tomorrow you can bring in a topic on Somalia on one of the shows on global trends or Matanga Africa perspective. What is going on? The sector one. Are we laxing security? Because are we removing troops? I saw some Ugandan troops returning to Uganda. There is peace in Uganda, but there is no peace in Somalia. Why is the UN hurrying us to get out when the people are coming closer to bombing Villa Somalia? Yala, is there something wrong? Do we really want Somalia? Miriam, can I ask a question as I land the mic? Do we, from 1991, has the United States ever wanted Somalia to be peaceful? Does it not now, when you read this book, The Economic Hitman, when they tell you about the oil blocks that Somalia has and the plates that meet with Saudi Arabia, Jesus, I think, you even pray again, Jesus in the Red Sea, help us. Is there something that we don't know? That surely at this hour, sector one, if we could leave Kandahar, are we in transition? Indeed, it looks like a transition. For me, I would have preferred Miriam to call the force in Somalia African Elimination Force for Somalia. I'm sorry, I will discuss it tomorrow at length, because we need to eliminate some people in Somalia, especially those who have come with ready to kill. They also need to be killed in order to stop the bloodshed that is flowing in Somalia. But this double-edged policy, if someone can predict that there will be, don't go to Kenya, there will be an adversary, don't go to Uganda, there will be a bomb, don't go here. Why are we not predicting that don't go near there? What's the problem? Isn't it the same thing happening in Congo? A proxy war looms around East Africa. Miriam, from 4 years ago, you learned, your friend here, your colleague here used to tell you a proxy war looms around East Africa. Am I wrong now? 4 years ago, 6 years ago, I saw this proxy war. I said, time is going to come when Africa gets lost, when people hide under the Zoom. You don't want to come and face Miriam that I am here. I am the one funding Matanga, or I'm the one funding M23. You hide in Zoom. Allah, that is a swipe. on something which we don't want to go that route. You are hiding on. You are telling us, come and face Tshisekedi. Let Tshisekedi also come face to face in that this war will end, and we shall remain with only what? External forces. But for me, I saw this as a waste of time. The actors are not sincere. I land my mic.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Wesonga. He told me he's Mr. Wanda Wesonga. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam.
Yes, and so I'm sure you've been listening to some of the news items. I just had a rundown there, and of course the story of Somalia. This new administration seem to have a renewed commitment us do as far as supporting Somalia this time is concerned.
Thank you so much. One, I'll compare the Al-Shabaab with two groups. I'll compare it with one group in Kenya that was once called Mungiki. Then I'll compare Al-Shabaab with one international terrorist group that was once called Al-Qaeda. When Al-Qaeda was terrorizing the world with their key target being USA never sugarcoated anything. Instead, they started manhunting Osama bin Laden. So in this case, USA was so clear that for us to deal with Al-Qaeda, we have to manhunt and either kill Osama bin Laden. Then from that point, we'll either negotiate or we'll see what comes next. But what happens with Al-Shabaab, the same case Dr. Masanga is quoting it, we tend to sugarcoat these teams, the military teams that we want them to deal with the insecurity in Somalia. Therefore, as he is exactly putting it, that we need to be so clear, the same way USA were clear when they wanted to deal with Al-Qaeda, that you either go man to man and hunt these guys that are doing all these. Number two, when I compare it with Mungiki, there was a point when Mungiki was such a terrorist group in Kenya. They went to an extent that they could now tax people in some of these cities. What John Mishuki did, he decided to go man to man, so that at least you face. He decided, let us then get to the battleground and square these things out. In so doing, he was able to deal with it. Two, what Mungiki were doing, they wanted publicity. That when a child does a mistake, then you keep talking about that mistake. Child so-and-so has done this today. Child so-and-so has done did this yesterday. Chances are this child will want to do it again tomorrow, so that you keep talking about them. Therefore, what Al-Shabaab are doing, they want us to talk about them. They want the world to talk about them. If one, we decide to ignore them, then two, we decide to face them, to face the bull by its horns, then we will be able to deal with them. But when we to change the name to Mpox, it tells me that we are still having racism, and racism is still at the international level. That if someone sits down and look at a monkey and equate a monkey as a racist word, then it tells you that person is a racist. And it tells you we still have a long way to go insofar as dealing with racism is concerned. that why should someone sit down and imagine if I call it a monkeypox, someone will look at it as a certain race. Then where is this mindset coming from? Therefore, the struggle by the World Health Organization to change the monkeypox to mpox, it tells me that we still have racism. The last thing that I've quoted from the news that this is the news from Qatar, that Africa is rising. That that is the show from Morocco, the show from Ghana, the Black Stars, and the show from Cameroon. It tells me that probably Africans are now not good getting in to compete, but they're getting in this tournament to compete and win. So chances are going forward.
Compete and win what? Compete and win what? Let's be very honest.
African
Elvis.
Yes.
Let's be very honest, my brother. Compete and win what? And first. First of all, we are there. Was none of those. I cannot be happy of Morocco. However much they play the best football, which they can play from near Angel Gabriel's field, I will not be happy. Because Morocco annexed Sahara. There is annexure, there is colonialism there by the French and others. They are killing some Saharis. So for me, Morocco is out. Cameroon is out for David Matanga because I have problems with Paul Biya. He has been killing people for 42 years and he's still killing Amazonians. When Cameroon plays near Angel and wins the cup, I will not celebrate. Okay? What other team do you want me to talk about? Ghana.
Ghana,
yes.
Yeah.
Probably. I can be happy about Ghana because Kwame Nkrumah died there, but General Achampong overthrew him and killed the dream of Africa. I still have a grain of to crush with, to just finish with those cliques that actually brought Africa to its knees. But I will support a bit. Tunisia, what other team? Tell me, ask me, which one? How many?
So far, I think they're the only 3 teams that have.
How many teams? Miriam, how many teams of Africa were there? You people football fans.
Oh.
When this discussion, I cannot wait.
Okay.
I cannot wait and it kills me saying what is Africa doing here? We have already gone there as underdogs. We have been given, we have a population of 1.4 billion people, and we are given only 5 teams selected. Anything wrong in Africa, we are given a ban. Everything wrong in Africa, we are banned. Banned. Munatubani kila siku, jamani. So, how will you work there? Let discussions in the morning be vibrant. Well, Kenya was put on a ban. We lost. You think they will, if you took Kenya to that World Cup, you will be shocked. Football is football. They could come out, win a cup, but our chances are blocked by FIFA. So the next organization in the world that Matanga wants to be reorganized is the FIFA. Like I was very vehemently on ICC. I still on ICC. ICC is not a group for us. ICC is used to intimidate, to frustrate, to mutilate, to dismember, to prostitute Africans as warmongers, as killers who are taken to this organization. But they are whites. Tony Blair ordered the killing people in Baghdad. Why can Karim look there and ask for Tony Blair? Why is he asking for Africans? Yes, and he came on top. And said, I am. Another one came and said, in Libya, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what happened to Libya. Sarkozy is still marrying women. Younger girls of 23, 25, is marrying them. He's in France. Munatufinya sisi wa Afrika. We are being pressed down. And then you say we are doing very well. Doing where? You are even looking for a name of Mpox to change it. For me, look at me. A gentleman in 1991, Miriam, I drove my car into Manchester City. Miriam, in the name of God, I went into Manchester United to eat food because I was doing deliveries. I had delivered my parcels, which had been given because my person to pick them from Birmingham did not come. So I drove all the way to Manchester United City. I was in a pub. I entered to eat my food. And I was wearing a very nice African kitenge manufactured from Nairobi. It was a good kitenge that someone from Kenya was brought me from Nairobi. Very smart, young, small, tall guy, not like now. I was eating my food very comfortably. Then this man comes to whistle. He just, where did you get this shot? Where do you come from? Which part of Africa do you come from? Kenya? That's what he said. So I looked at him and I said, what, do you want the shot? I said, do you want the shot? He said, do you want the shot? So I took off the shirt. Seriously, in a pub, I took off the shirt and said, you want the shirt? Here it is. And by the time he did not know that action I was going to take. I got beer. You know, beer has no crime. I poured the whole beer on him and said, do it now. You have seen the real African, the real leopard. It is gonna get you. It will get you. The owner of the pub and the other people came and said, they now told the white guy, you are the problem. Why did you go to this man's table? Police came and the police saw me naked, half naked. You know, the British police ran quickly to bring clothes. You know, they carry clothes which you can cover. They say, where's your shirt? Say, this man told me to remove it. I said, he told me to remove the shirt and eat food here. Everybody, the police handcuffed that guy, took him out. The barman said, you will pay the bill for the drinks, for the food. I can order new fresh food. Please, we are very sorry. Longer trying to tell me that that we are doing what? Where are you going? Doing what? If we are very many, if we are 10 teams, do you know the type of morale we would have? But because we are the minority. We are the minority. You see most of the people from Africa who went to Qatar, you are seeing them with Brazilian flags. Our good people who support football here, they were dancing a Brazilian salsa into Qatar. So I land my microphone. Is however much you want to do to convince me, I'm not convincible.
Okay, Wanda, you can pick from what you're saying, then we can end the show.
I understand, Dr. Masanga. You know, when it comes to African representation in the World Cup, we have our own body that is failing us, that is being used by FIFA. That is CAF, Confederation of African Football. That Confederation of African Football, for as long as African is a continent where you're given money, then you leave behind your brains. Now, the leadership of Confederation of African Football, I don't know why they're so okay with 4 teams in Africa. I don't know why they're so okay in some of their necessary ban is underrepresented. But in the same underrepresentation, our teams have for so many years gone in these tournaments. You look at these big names of our players. You've had big names like Samuel Eto'o. You've had big names like George Weah. You've had big names like Didier Drogba. That you look at Didier Drogba while playing at Chelsea, is a bull of a player. He bulls these players outside there. But when he comes back to his nation, then still with this underrepresentation, when he goes back into his nation, then you go to these tournaments, they don't perform as they normally perform at the club level. Therefore, that's the only end that I'm picking a line. Then I feel like when we see these underrepresentation, these few teams trying to struggle, our players trying to convince the world that yes, we can play this football, then it tells me that when we'll now, after we have addressed the underrepresentation in these tournaments, our players will now be ready to take full charge and compete. Our players will now get into these tournaments and bull other players. But still with this underrepresentation, when our players are not able to get in and compete and bull other players, then it tells me that even if we address the underrepresentation, that we have a number of players, then we will not get into this tournament and compete to win. But with these 1, 2, 3, or 4 teams, if these 1, 2, 3, 4 teams get into these tournaments, then we have
Okay, we seem to have suffered a bit of a technical hitch from Mr. Wanda Wisunga.
then you'll be like Africa is on the rise in terms of
Wanda, we lost you there for a few minutes.
Yeah,
A few seconds, sorry. Yeah.
maybe the warning that he has supported the 5 teams tonight. So thank you very much. Thank you. Now the time is 11 o'clock, but you can make
yes, CAF need to CAF need to start addressing these unnecessary bans on African football. Like what happened in Kenya, it doesn't matter if the government intervenes on the running of the football and the case of corruption, then people should not come in and ban that nation. It is a case of you're blessing corruption in that country. Number two, FIFA should work, Confederation of African Football should work with FIFA to look into it that African representation in the World Cup is always is raised. You cannot be having a 1.4 billion people being represented with only 4 countries. That we have 54 nations and we only have 4.
You are tackling me. I think you are tackling me on something that I want to, Miriam, just have 1 minute, half a minute. Look here. The Constitution of FIFA says buys apartments for his concubines in Africa, everywhere. A chairman of KFF goes to FIFA and asks for $1.5 million to be wired into his account and his wife's and several other concubines across Africa. Because they trouble with football, every country they plant a concubine. Miriam, I wonder, Eunice, tell me which Africa is this we are going, that a country, a government should not interfere. What? We Africans, you know we have been bewitched. We don't even, you look here, in 2008, 2009, Wanda, where you, Mr. Wanda Wesonga, and some of you, Miriam was interviewing me, people in television around one of the television stations. She has been there for some time. Some of them did not want Matsanga to come on TV to talk about ICC. Yes, yes, tuambiane ukweli. You were telling me, where did this Ugandan come from? 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, some people blocked me from TV. And the ones who blocked me are the ones enjoying it today. But me, I came and I said, I will speak. Itazungumiza. Because when I see something wrong, well, I am buys apartments, and then the FIFA says, don't interfere with that money. Whose money was it? It was our money. Is that a constitution of FIFA? All right. And you Africans run that you have been Minister of Sports, I'm running to Qatar to watch a football match. My fault. I'm not. I will watch on Viusasa. But until I reform FIFA, they are not the owners of football in the world. It is a PLC that must abide by international regulations of accountability. If you have studied international law, most of you are studying international law, challenge me. Accountability does not mean we leave it to the people who protect a clause that protects the football clubs on the African continent to steal money. And when the governments come to say, why are you stealing the money? You said, you have banned you. Sire, God, carry out. Get out, I'm not part of that. Thank you very much, Miriam. I've taken more than 1 minute. But that is my position. And I wonder, I think Miriam created a debate on this football for us. And there are so many football lovers who want that football. This is Dr. Matsanga from London Command
is where we end the show this morning. Thank you so much for watching. Don't go too far. We shall be right back.